That's the sleigh bell soundbite given to me through the iMac and iMovie? That ain't shit. God, that's terrible. Just pretend it was better, guys. Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome back to a special Christmas edition of the Old Fashioned Radio Show, which is cleverly titled The Christmas Old Fashioned Radio Show. My favorite thing about Christmas may be the stillness of Christmas morning. I'm within earshot of two highways. If the wind's blowing in a certain direction, the wind makes a huge difference in terms of highway noise. You hear the highway or you hear the Pennsylvania Turnpike, you hear the downshifting, or what are those things called in big rigs? Or air braking, the air braking of big rigs, even the planes in the air. It's just silent. It's silent up until about, 12 or 1 o'clock when things return a little bit to normal. Even the birds seem to understand it's Christmas, although most have flown south. But we still have things like cardinals around here. And I saw a robin the other day. He was very confused. It was cold as shit. I know your asses should be flying south. What you doing here? It was weird. Then again, all of reality is confused anymore. It wouldn't make sense if the birds that were supposed to fly south they came to Pennsylvania and everything was reversed, just like people that don't know what gender they are. So as usual, this presentation is dedicated to those who are alone on Christmas because the not milk has thoroughly destroyed the family unit. People getting together is down 99% per Gallup polling. Down 99%, families and people getting together, except you can get together via social media. People actually call that getting together. I'm going to FaceTime my uncle or whatever. What's it called? FaceTime? I don't have one. I have a flip phone. It don't FaceTime. But I'm alone on Christmas, and I'm fine with it. Because the Not Milk, via its entertainment and programming, gives those who are alone like me so much on Christmas. It gives us 5 NBA basketball games back to back all day long. This is something the NBA has been giving to us for over 40 years. And if you tune in just on Christmas and you watch no other NBA games, you can see how the game has been degenerated and degraded and bastardized and adulterated over that 40-year period. You know, those assholes that take a picture of themselves on their birthday and then they put a collage together when they're 60. Oh, isn't that great? You can see a person morph into an old person. You could do the same with NBA basketball. 27, 28 years ago, you could say Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. I know they're villains, but it was real basketball. It was pretty good competition. Then you morph that into the horrible, wretched Shaq eras and the Kobe Bryant eras. And then what you have today, people that need to play on Christmas because they have hundreds of baby mamas to support, hundreds per state, not hundreds across the country. You could see a slow slide like those jerks that take a picture of themselves every day on their birthday, then try to collage it into a baby goes into some old person. That's what could be done with the NBA in its horrible, wretched state. But okay, maybe the NBA and basketball is not your thing. I can't imagine anybody seeing it that way. It's a real gift to me to have those 5 games back to back. And the moment this video is over, I'm going to go right down and turn it on. Of course I am. But if it's not your thing, the NFL provides 2 football games as well, highlighting and featuring the demonic golden boy of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. Now, I don't know who else is playing, but that's a gift in and of itself. Now, in the past, you may remember I've alluded to the fact that Patrick Mahomes' play is unnatural. I think there's some sort of black magic or LeBron James talcum powder before a game spell going on with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not joking. I know that's confusing to a lot of people because sometimes Matt says, I'm not joking, and he's joking the most. I'm not in any way joking. LeBron James, he doesn't do it anymore. I don't know. Maybe his egregore can't hold any more energy. He used to come out with a talcum powder, do the ritual. It was some sort of black magic. I'm in no way joking. Throw the talcum powder all over the people in the front row, all over the commentators, people in the front row. Powder everywhere. I mean, it wasn't a little bit. Okay, go watch some of the videos on that. That was maybe a way to wake up his egregore. Hey, egregore! Time to wake up and give me your energy, boy. Who knows what it was for, but it was a spell or a ritual. I don't see Patrick Mahomes doing anything publicly like that, but back in maybe there's a seance room in the locker room, a special section of Arrowhead Stadium with pentagrams and shit. There's something weird, and I'm in no way joking, going on with Patrick Mahomes. I've seen him do weird things on the field that nobody could do. I think I remember talking about this recently, but it's fascinating. Anybody would have been sacked, and he just happens to put his hand behind him. I remember talking about this, yeah. But I might check it out. I might check out The Spell today and watch a little bit of it. He does weird things that there's some sort of... Look, if you're picked as the demonic golden boy of the NFL... You don't think they introduced him to a few new egregores on the day of the draft? He didn't do any of this shit in college. Now, guys, I have a reason or an excuse, if you will, to intermix the Santa is Satan thing or the Satan is Santa thing throughout this old-fashioned radio show Christmas edition. And my excuse is last night I actually had, the courage to watch Jack Black's new movie, Dear Santa, where the kid has a learning disability and he writes Dear Satan and mails that and in some way summons Satan, which is Jack Black. I'm not going to give the ending away. And what I'm about to do is truth or reputation suicide, but I'm big enough to admit it. I'm glad I watched it. Hold on, before you get your back up, before you turn this video, hold on. Let me explain. First off, I love Jack Black is a villain to me. He's all not. His mother was involved in the space program. Of course, but I liked him in Shallow Hal. I just love the movie Shallow Hal for a lot of reasons. We've talked about that before. His other stuff, I tried to watch 5 minutes of Nacho Libre. What the hell is that? I tried to watch 10 minutes of the Pick of Destiny or whatever. I don't know what that stuff is. I don't like him almost in anything else, I don't think. But the Jack Black from Shallow Hal was kind of the Jack Black that was Satan in this movie, Dear Santa, Dear Satan. And is it good? No. But you know what? I'm glad I watched it. It has 20 very, very fun, clever moments. Oh, the truthers are getting their back up. I knew this Matt was a... Oh, my God, I threw out my television 15 years ago. And all the people... Go ahead, comment, righteous truthers. You comment, righteous truthers. You tell us how you've never watched a movie. You tell us... You're actually just trying to pat yourself on the back. Tell us how you don't watch TV anymore. I can't wait to give out the Righteous Truther Award. You know what? Is it great? No, but I'm glad I watched it. There were 20 parts where I laughed out loud. I saw my friend Jack Black from Shallow Hal, not that Nacho Libre Jack Black. And the kid is, it's like, where'd they get this kid from? He's in every scene, but I don't know. If the kid rubs you the wrong way, he's in every scene. The kid is okay, and it's not like some stereotypical perfect little John Benet Ramsey, little Macaulay Culkin, little it's just like a little fat kid. I don't know, if he wasn't in this movie, I don't think he's ever going to be cast in anything other than a remake of the Goonies or whatever. And now, from yesterday's videos, I want to say the Gooners. Oh no, people have looked it up and they told me what that was. Oh God, that's in my head. The Goonies really meant the Gooners. Sorry, 30 seconds if you don't know anything about this movie. Then I'll move on to another topic. The kid has a learning disability, slightly dyslexic. He writes, Dear Satan, mails it down and he's too old to be wishing for presents from Santa anyway. Jack Black comes into his room and basically tries to pretend for a while he's Santa, but the kid sees through him and he says, well, look what you wrote, kid. You summoned Satan. You summoned the devil. And then 3 wishes, and the kid starts making his wishes and probably can guess that the movie doesn't end with the kid being sucked down into the plains or pits of hell. He probably can end it somehow he gets out of it. I won't give it away because it's such a new holiday classic. So it took me a few minutes, but here's the old list as to why Santa is Satan and Satan is Santa, and some people would say Saturn too. It's all like the Three Stooges. It's all the same things. There's 19 reasons why Satan is Santa and Santa is Satan, why they're all the same, but now we can add a 20th. Because the new Jack Black movie, Dear Santa, in the movie summons Satan. That's about the best proof I've ever heard that Santa is Satan. Let's do a few on our list before going to other topics, and then we'll come back to the list. Number 1, Santa is simply Satan because you simply pull the N out of Santa, S-A-N-T-A, pull the N and pull it all the way to the right. One little maneuver of the N gets Santa to Satan. Now, there's no way that reality would produce 2 beings that are supposedly on opposite ends of the spectrum that are just one little shift of the N away. I mean, it can't be any more blatant. It would be like Mother Teresa being named Josefina Goebbels. Well, I mean, you think she'd be nice if her name was Josefina Goebbels? Joseph. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, and nobody notices. I guess we're just one of those people. Number 2 on our list, Santa is also called Saint Nick. Satan's name, among many, is Old Nick, which we've never talked about this, but implies that originally Satan must have been a saint, Saint Nick, and as he became older, he became a devil. It's similar to the Jimmy Savile story. Before he became a devil, I hear he was a pretty good guy in his younger age, volunteering for the Salvation Army. I'm not joking. Number 3, here's a real small one. Christmas, which is tied in, of course, with Santa. Christmas itself has nothing to do with Christianity or Jesus. You don't think that December 25th was Jesus' birthday, do you? Let me gather up the evidence that December 25th is Jesus' birthday. Nothing. There's not one shred of evidence. There's a ton of evidence, pages and pages, that it's tied into the paganism of Saturnalia. And then you have the Christmas trees, pagan. And then you have Yule logs, pagan. Then you got stars on top of trees, pagan. Oh, and paganism is tied into, in some ways, the pentagram and stuff like that. That's Santa. That's Satan. And nothing, the 180 degrees from Christianity. We don't even have to go further on the list, guys. Santa is a damn devil. He wears red. What more do we need to talk about? And last night, watching the damn movie, Jack Black's trying to corrupt this little fat kid. Where was Santa to help him out? Where was Santa to take the other side and to rescue the kid? There was no other side because they're one and the same caricature. Number 4, Satan is also known as Prince of the Air. What does Santa do with his reindeer on Christmas Eve? And by this notion, we might be able to tie in Nick Nolte as some sort of greater demon. Wasn't he in Prince of Tides? We know Barbra Streisand, I think, wasn't she in that? We know that's just a female version of the devil. But Nick Nolte, Prince of Tides, also in some way, to me, is tied in with Satan. Okay, guys, we'll come back to the list in just a few minutes. I want to talk about something related to the Christmas season that really, really bugs me. But before I do, you are really needing to know that Spurs-Knicks, the Spurs against the New York Knickerbockers, NBA kicks off at noon Eastern time. I better get this video done and posted long before that because most of you I know will be going over to the NBA. They got to make money. They got lots and lots of baby mamas to take. They're expensive bitches. Sorry. Okay. What really bugs me are Christmas season movies that have nothing to do with Christmas other than they take place at Christmas time. So Die Hard is seen as a Christmas movie. John McClane running around his bare feet, killing the T-ism people, and just because it takes place around Christmas. It's seen as a Christmas. It's not a Christmas movie. This wuss movie with Hugh Grant, Love Actually, they've made into a Christmas movie. It takes place in London around the time of Christmas. Some streets are lit up in lights. Does that make a Christmas movie? It's individual. Matt, come on, you admit it. You watch it when I come across it on TV. I watch it. I admit it. Boy, if I could take that movie and if somebody could process it for me and get out all the cringe scenes and just leave about 35 minutes, it would be phenomenal. I like about a third of Love Actually. 2/3 if it could be cut out, all the cringe scenes. Remember that creepy guy that was in love with his best friends? It was the introduction of, I guess, was Keira Knightley in anything before this. She was about 80 pounds, and he's in love with his best friend's new wife, and he shows up at her door, and he's got these little signs. You've seen it. Come on, they know. These signs, I mean, talk about cringe. I cannot, oh my gosh, that is one of the most, and there's the wedding scene. He's just filming her. There's so much cringe. How about the guy that played Snape in Harry Potter? I forget the name of the actor. His secretary keeps coming on to him in a creepy way. There's so much cringe in that, but there's some great scenes too. When Colin comes, okay, Matt, stop with it. Love Actually, we don't care. When Colin comes from the UK into that, does he go to a bar in like Madison, Wisconsin or something? And then, okay, there's some scenes that are great. Boy, if I could get just 2/3 cut out of that movie, it would be wonderful. What's next? Eyes Wide Shut being a Christmas movie? We've talked about it recently, so I'm not going to go into the details on it. But in almost every scene, there is a Christmas tree decorated, or Kubrick's using Christmas lights. And yeah, theories about the paganism and the Saturnalia, and okay, all the weird symbolism. I mean, and the truth community still says symbology. It's not symbology. I don't even know what the hell that means. The weird symbolism that Kubrick puts in regarding the Christmas decorations. But thank God that is not seen as a Christmas movie the way Love Actually and some of these others. And It's a Wonderful Life that's the only one that has nothing to do with Christmas that I'll accept as a Christmas movie, because it's been attached and tied into Christmas for so long. An angel gets his wings, but that still, there's no Santa. A Miracle on 34th Street's about Santa Claus. It's pretty clearly a Christmas movie. Dickens' A Christmas Carol and the 50 versions of that. Ghost of Christmas Past. It's Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life. It's not. It's not about Christmas. Okay, I'll accept that. But the others, they're trying to make Christmas movies. No friggin' way. Take your Love Actually and put it on July 4th. Back to our list. Number 5 has already been mentioned. What color does Santa wear? It's the same color of the devil, red. Number 6. One of the most famous sayings about Satan, of course, that everybody's heard is, his greatest trick is to make people believe that he does not exist. Then adults around Christmas spend their countless hours with their children in a form of inversion of this, trying to convince them that Santa does exist when he does not. A perfect inversion on Satan's most famous saying. A coincidence? I think not. Number 7, it is said Satan is the Lord of hell fire. Rules over hell fire. Well, how does Santa get into a little kid's house to deliver the presents? Does he knock at the door or come in or pick the lock? He comes down the chimney when there's a roaring fire. Lord of hell fire, Satan the devil, Santa comes down into the fire. See, there's no stories that exist that advise young kids to make sure your parents put the fire out before they leave the milk and the cookies. Because Santa, obviously, I'm mixing them up right now. Santa could be burned. No, put some more logs in that motherfucker. Put some more logs. Roar up the fire. Who's calling me? Santa's impervious of fire. That's Satan, my friends. So stop it. Leave me alone. Sorry. And the final one for this segment, number 8. What does Santa come into a child's home to do? He's not there to tell jokes or to sing and dance or do the river dance, Irish dancing. He's there to bring material possessions, right? That shit from Ross Stores and Boscov's and Kohl's and shit that you don't buy yourself. It's Santa brings that crap that nobody needs. What does Satan bring? Possession. Same, this isn't a homophone. This one's called a homograph. Spelled the same, but 2 different meanings. Material possessions and possessed by the devil. Now, before making this video, I made the mistake of not checking the headlines. I always like to make sure, was it Duluth? No, that's Minnesota. Dubuque, Iowa is still with us. Tempe is still with us. There's not some major part of the world melting down. I should check the headlines first. Doing it now, though, I see that, if this is the number one news, quote, fake news story in the world, things are okay. It's going to be an okay Christmas if this is the number one news story. There's nothing about drones here and alien invasion. Scenes from the movie Signs, which took place up here in Lancaster County with Mel Gibson, are not actually playing out just yet. Maybe they'll fake that a few months from now. If this is the number one story, we're okay. The Supreme Court enters its teenager era. These Supreme Court cases could affect the lives of teenagers across the country. Let's see what I guarantee. There's a T-ism is not. I always confuse the Trans-Siberian Highway issue is going to have to come up. The T-ism. That's the 7-foot Arab stuff. The Virginia high school students. Oh, they're going to ban TikTok. Thank goodness I don't use TikTok. Vaping products could be affected. A controversial TikTok law. I don't know what the hell that is. I think there is something here about the Trans-Siberian Railroad and what rights you have to play women's sports. Oh, my goodness. But you know what? As bad as this is, guys, if this is the number one news or fake news story in the world, and it's not fake, this one's actually very real, they will pass laws that affect your kids' lives. I'll take that back. But things aren't that bad. And for some reason, I just thought about the strangest or one of the strangest things that ever happened to our truth research community around the time of Christmas. You got to be real old guard to remember this. It was, oh boy, I don't know, 2010, 2011, 2012, something like that, where people swore up and down, like thousands of people swore that in the Queen Elizabeth II's Christmas address, she would always give a Christmas address. I don't know if she was able to give it in her last few years. She came out and said, "This will be your last Christmas." The truthers latched onto it. I saw videos about it, but the point is then it just disappeared. Nobody could find a trace of the Queen saying, "This will be your last Christmas." But I remember being right in the middle of it, not making a video on it or covering it. But do I remember hearing that? I'm not sure, because Greg, I think, heard it. And again, people, I don't know how many people, hundreds and hundreds of people in videos over a 2-month period commented that they heard the Queen say, "This will be your last Christmas," or they have a friend that they trusted, like I trust Greg, that said, "Who trusts you?" that said, "This will be," then it completely disappeared. Like, in a way, the Mandela effect, but every trace of what the Queen said was just gone, erased. Nobody had. What about the videos that the truth community would have made about her saying it? I don't know. It was not a Mandela effect, but the way reality kind of erased itself. It was strange, folks. One of the weirdest things that ever happened in our truth research community. In a way, it was similar to the thousands of people that can talk about scenes in the Sinbad comedian movie called Shazam. Yeah, not Kazam was Shaq's. He's that bum. It is in everything. He even owns part of Papa John's Pizza. I won't ever take a bite of that pizza again because it's owned by Shaq, that horrible, dreadful, wretched creature. It was Sinbad in Shazam. Thousands of people can talk about scenes together. Do you remember when Sinbad did this and that? Oh yeah, then the car came around the corner. They know it's scene by scene, and then it disappeared from existence. Now that's much more significant than the Queen saying, "This will be your last Christmas." But in the same way, it disappeared from existence. I remember the buzz about it. I was right smack in the middle. That time again, trying to be a Little Russian Vids. He taught us how to cover the Cake in a Lake Bang mall events and school events, and we were all trying to cover the Cake in a Lake mall events and school events and the catastrophe thespians and the Robbie Bibby Robbie's Bobby. One of the parents. I was just trying to do what he was doing. That led to other things. But that's what we were doing back in the day. And what did she say? The Queen said this is going to be. She didn't say anything like, "You poor devils, this will be your last Christmas before the alien invasion." She didn't. But she just said something like, "And this Christmas being your last." What did she say? Then it disappeared from existence. Maybe it's on an old Reddit thread somewhere. I don't know. One last thing here, guys. I'm scrolling down. The Supreme Court cases will affect the lives of millions of teenagers. Scrolling down, well, yeah, just like I thought, there's the image. Let trans kids live. Oh, no. Come on. I mean, certain groups are overrepresented. Certain groups have too many rights. Overrepresented. I mean, come on. Or I should ask my cousin. I haven't talked to him in a while. My cousin is a gay man that lives in Atlanta, and how old would he be? He'd be in his early 40s, I guess. And he saw the whole swing when he was in high school. He was in the closet. Of course, nobody talked about it. You kept it hidden. Then over the course of, say, 2.5 decades, he saw something that was considered taboo and is to be hidden. He saw it evolve into the greatest thing of all time, which all of society and culture in the West sees that as the preferred lifestyle, the preferred way to get ahead, no pun intended, the preferred way to get a job, to rise to the top of your Goldman Sachs stockbroker position. You put on, somebody brought that to my attention years ago, before it, now I'm sure it's everywhere, a job application. It was Goldman Sachs. 8 years ago or so, it said your sexual preference, right? I mean, how is this even legal? I thought. And then you, hetero, this, that. I mean, there weren't just 2 or 3 choices. There wasn't like New York State plethora of like a gender blender and all these names, gender from a New York bot. I'm talking about New York State legal terms. Gender blender is different than gender bender. I'm in no way joking. These are New York State legal terms, and if the employer does not reflect the term per what the applicant or the now the employed person wishes and wants, including preferred pronoun, up to a $250,000 fine. Anyway, back to my cousin. Saw it go from taboo to the greatest thing of all time, and right on the job application now. So let me get this straight. If I put hetero, white, what the gender choices now are many, but back when this was shown to me, it was male or female. If I do white, hetero, male on a job application, how you think that job application rises to the very top of candidate consideration? No, it doesn't even make it to the second round. It's thrown out into the trash, like when D-Day and Bluto were searching around the trash bin of Faber for the exam. Those assholes stole the wrong fucking exam. It's same that you just fake it. We've talked about this many times. You can't change your skin color. If I tried to change it, it would be considered a you know what type of crime. I can't use a certain resin to make my skin different. That's a crime. But I could say, nobody would know. I could say, I'm gay. I'm down. But then here's the problem. If you put that on your job application to get to the front or to get ahead, no pun intended, at some point the bosses could come calling. I'm looking at your job application here, Matt, and would you like to join me for, what did Scrooge say, a Christmas bow? He says, I'd like to stay and join you, Fred, and I apologize for all the time I missed, and now I'd like to join you for, does he say a Christmas bowl or a Christmas bow? To me, it's always been a Christmas bow, like a drink or something. The bosses come calling because you faked your application. Say, let's check out the new stalls in the you-know-what. Number 9 on our list. What does Santa actually do for kids to help them? What does Santa do for society as a whole? Clarice, what does he do, this man you seek, this Santa we seek to understand? He does one thing. He brings crap. He brings material. I want Xbox. He brings, or is said to bring, material possessions like we talked about. Now, what is the true meaning of Christmas? Peace on earth, goodwill towards others, giving of oneself, helping the needy, etc. So this son of a bitch actually distracts from the true meaning of Christmas as Santa. And what would Satan do? The exact same thing. Therefore, it's the exact same son of a bitch. Number 10. What is flying reindeer? It's black magic, my friends. Number 11. Santa eats your cookies and milk, which is a mockery of the Holy Communion, which is actually the Holy Communion itself is a mockery of something else, but we'll go there in another video. Just made sense for the list. Number 12, his name is Saint Nicholas. That's also a mockery of the church. He's not an acknowledged or ordained saint. What is Santa the patron saint of then? The Isle of Misfit Toys? Can one become a saint by bringing Cartier and Omega watches into homes with other material possessions that feed corporations who are probably running child trafficking rings? I'm no expert here, but I would imagine that committing the fraud of passing oneself off as an ordained saint or member of the church when one has no qualifications whatsoever or credentials is a bigger sin than Santa's belly. What would the devil do? He'd present fraudulent credentials too. Therefore, it's the same son of a bitch. Number 13. Almost everything about the December 25th Christmas is of pagan root and origin. Basically everything. Mistletoe, cutting of trees, Christmas trees, the Yule log, decorating trees, making merry, Saturnalia, holly bushes, etc. It goes on for pages. Christians then say pagan worship is of the devil. Then millions of Christians then go out and practice actual pagan rite and ritual themselves during what they consider to be their holy time. Another inversion. You've got to be kidding me. How does so many people fall for this? I don't have any problem with the pagan practices. Well, I do have a problem with the cutting of Christmas trees. Every time, just a few days before Christmas. This is very sad to me. I'm not about to cry. It's just my voice just kind of cracked. I'm not going to cry over Christmas trees, but it does affect me. It does bother me. I see 40 Christmas trees, the 2 days before Christmas, and they will not be sold. And every time I turn to Pam, and a few times we're together anymore, and I say, look, Christmas tree Auschwitz. I say it it's such a shame. Go with the plastic tree. To cut trees down, to kill a life like that, I believe that is very, very wrong. Anybody listening? I know some of you have Christmas trees. Sorry, it's wrong. Taking a life just to have a damn tree in a home. Get the damn plastic tree and do the pagan rite and ritual that way. Skipping a few down on the list, guys, because this part ties in Saturn to potentially Satan and Santa, talking about the North Pole, the storm on the North Pole of Saturn. Let me skip down to ones that are a little bit more in line with what we're doing here. Here it's number 16. The most famous literary work in Christmas history, amazingly, also helps to confirm that Santa is Satan. The Night Before Christmas by Clement C. Moore proclaims in the Mandela-affected poem, quote, "A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. A wink of his eye, Santa's, and a twist of his head." Is that like The Exorcist? Did it twist all the way around? Soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. Now, in the Bible, Proverbs 16-30 says, quote, "Whomever winks with their eye is plotting perversity." Let me repeat that. Whomever winks with their eye is plotting perversity. The image of Christmas in the Western world was undoubtedly shaped by the Clement C. Moore poem. The Bible tells us directly that Santa is plotting perversely. Perversity. When Santa delivers his corporate greed and his Omega watches and that crap from Kohl's, I'm not aware that Santa has ever entered a child's room. But who knows what that fat bastard is capable of if he got next to your children? Parents, please lock the kids' doors on the night of Christmas. Don't put no cookies out. Don't attract them with nothing. Turn the lights out, and by all means, don't make a fire. It says right here in the Bible, relates to the Clement C. Moore poem, "A wink of his eye and a twist of his head around like the Exorcist soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread." Well, bullshit. Did you see what he did to your wife? And also from the Clement C. Moore poem, quote, "His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow." Droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow. What? That's like a demon rising up from the pits of hell. Proverbs, again, 16:30 says, "Whoever purses their lips is bent on evil." Of course, we know Santa is bent on evil. There's no doubt about it. The Bible already labeled him a pervert. Is delivering Xbox, which is Saturn's cube, to a little child ever a good thing? And there's even more from this most famous Christmas poem. "Up the chimney he rose," Moore states. Is he not a man who must, using human legs, climb up the chimney? Up the chimney he rose, Moore states. Moore tells us that the fat man rose or levitated like the Exorcist, high up into the air, like a demon. Why not use the front door like everyone else, you fat bastard? And also from the famous poem, Moore describes, quote, "a right jolly old elf." Here we see Santa is not human at all. What is an elf? Generally, because of Christmas, elves are portrayed as friendly little toy makers who really want to be dentists. But if you look at the legend and lore of elves, many stories portray a dark history, with the most recent being the movie Thor, The Dark World. It was nasty elves that tried to take out Asgard and your friends Thor and Loki. These jolly little elves in that movie were out to murder billions. That's an elf for you. They're not friendly, and if you see one, run in the other direction. And oh, by the way, every time I've looked into the lineage of what the seven-pointed star, which was featured so prominently in Game of Thrones, there's always something that pops up that talks about related to elven magic, the seven-pointed star. And that's the primary symbol of that creepy band Tool. with one of the creepiest frontmen or lead singers of all time, Maynard James Keenan, is it? He makes people like Ozzy Osbourne look normal. But I'm talking specifically in this case with the seven-pointed star. It was an interview with the lead guitarist. His name's also three names. You know, I'm really trustworthy of these people. Adam Thomas Jones and Maynard James Keenan. Well, Adam Thomas Jones, they said, sir, why do you use the seven-pointed star so prominently in your album covers? And he wasn't quite prepared to answer. He was like, he says, this is supposed to be real cool, guys. You know, because the cops use it. I wish I was in that audience. Because the cops use it? Really? Is that? Oh, see, you're a real creepy band and all this satanic stuff. You're doing an ode to the police. You put big signs on your lawn. We support local police and firefighters. Give me a break. Every time you not Nilk minions present bullshit backstories, it makes me laugh. So in the interview, the lead guitarist for Tool just gave a bunch of bullshit reasons why they're so interested in the seven-pointed star, again, presented prominently in Game of Thrones. If you research it, elven magic keeps popping up, whatever that means. But I've come across that several times regarding the seven-pointed star, which is like three vectors laying on top of each other. In terms of at least how it's presented in the Game of Thrones, it's like three vectors create 7 points. I forget exactly how to describe it spatially, but come on, you three-name members of Tool, stop insulting our intelligence. Just be honest for once. If you do creepy shit, just tell people about it. Just stop it. Sorry. So as Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days, modern Christmas has nothing to do with what people think Christmas is or Christian holidays. It's all pagan. It's Saturnalia. It's either 7 days or it's 12 days. It's 7 days, the start being Christmas today, going through New Year's, which is the biggest pagan celebration of all time. The biggest presentation in the world for Saturnalia is the very famous Philadelphia Mummers Day Parade. It is 100% Saturnalia. And I would say not even 2% of those involved in the parade have any idea what the roots is or what they're doing. Maybe some would. You know, maybe these string band clubs, I mean, they go back, 3 generations. Maybe some of the older groups in the troupe have an idea. But not for those on the streets watching the Mummers Parade, almost 100% have no idea what they're looking at. I've done videos on it. Check out the Mummers Parade. This isn't a stretch or me with some truth or research and me presenting myself as some sort of sleuth. It's just blatant, obvious Saturnalia, which there's no possible way to take the other side of that. But nobody understands what's being presented. So it's either Christmas, it's either 7 days Saturnalia, or to me it's 12 days. I think some of my research has said that Saturnalia lasted 12 days, but that's what the song is probably about. On the first day of Christmas, my true love. On the second day of... That's Saturnalia. And my favorite, I guess I'll close with my favorite story, one of my favorite stories of all time. I say that about a lot of things, guys. It's just part of the way I make my presentation. There's a lot of things I say is my favorite of all time because maybe they're all equally good. When my uncle and my cousins, they was some come sing for the kids, or we'll do Christmas carols before Christmas. And let's say she's unnamed, a friend of per my uncle, a friend of the family. They grew up next to her in Washington, D.C. She went off to be some big shot architect who 20-some years ago, when Qatar was being developed, they wanted to recruit young architects and engineers from the United States. This is maybe almost 30 years ago, to build up, well, no, it would have been 25 years ago, to build up Qatar. Invited her out. Can you imagine the ridiculous salary, drivers, apartments, all expenses paid to help work on the skyscrapers and everything being built. So she comes back for Christmas and comes to see, my family, cousins who she grew up with as a kid. And I've known her, I've met her many times. And we're singing to the kids on the first day of Christmas, 10 lords a leaping, whatever. 6 geese a laying. And I said to her, many of you have heard me tell this story. Let's just call her Susan. That's not her name. I said, Susan, you have any idea what this song is about? Most people don't. And I think they were still singing. Maybe she went off to get a bowl of punch or something. In a creepy way, I followed her over to the bowl, and I said, do you know that have you ever realized there's not 12 days of Christmas? Does this make any sense to you? And like most people, she said, no, I never really thought about it. Yeah, what's this on the 5th day of Christmas? What is that? Well, it's not Christmas, obviously. It's Saturnalia, of which all of Christmas is tied into the root, a very pagan holiday, Saturnalia, the Christmas tree. It's pagan. It's more Thor and Odin than it has anything to do with Jesus. The mistletoe, it's all pagan. Did you ever realize that? And she was, of course, it's so blatant and obvious once you realize it, but as I've said many times in my presentation, it's even in one of my books, I was just some degenerate in a frayed sweatshirt. She was the king of the world, cutting ribbons on skyscrapers for the Sultan of Qatar, making, millions and millions and millions of dollars. There's no possible way a degenerate in a sweatshirt like myself could be telling her about how this world works. So she did some sort of weird mental gymnastics and just kind of walked away from me. And I'm sure within a few seconds forgot all about it. Because I hit home for just a second, she thought that has to be it. But then she thought, well, if I go with this and I continue this conversation with this degenerate Matt, then the world doesn't work the way that I think it works. I want it to work. It works this way for my salary and my driver and my 42nd story apartment in Qatar and all that shit. So she walked away and blew it off. And to this day, I'm sure she doesn't remember that conversation or a word that was said. The mind that wants to preserve this world and your place in it and what this world is supposed to be will work anytime any sort of truth is presented. Oh, the subconscious, the unconscious wants to protect the worldview and normalcy. That from her perspective, Susan's, our conversation never took place. It never existed because it was some bizarro truth that lets, just like a crack in the door, that lets the door open a bit as to how this world really works. So I'm sure, just like anybody else would, it was blown off. Do you remember talking with Matt about what the 12 days of Christmas? I mean, I never had that conversation. I'm sure she blew it off. But anyway, it was funny. Just for a second, she paused, and just for a second, you could see that she kind of realized that has to be what I was saying, has to be what it is or was, or at least it didn't mean what she thought it had meant from the moment she heard it as a little kid. So it was very disruptive shit that I was presenting. And then she probably in her own way looked at me and said, look at this bum in an Everlast sweatshirt. I don't think I wore the Everlast sweatshirt down for, with singing the carols for the little kids, but I wasn't exactly in a three-piece suit either. On my best days, I'm considered a little sloppy or slovenly. She thought, this degenerate here, he went to Penn State. Look at this moron. There's no way he's going to tell me how this world works. Now, she didn't say that out in the open, but I'm sure that's what she thought. And pretty much you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. That happens to us, people like us, every day. Anyway, guys, thanks for being with me here as we're alone together on this very special start of Saturnalia. Thanks for listening.